Everyone tells you the same thing. Be more disciplined. Wake up at 5 a.m. Cold showers. Grueling workouts. Force yourself to do the things you hate until you become the person you want to be. But what if I told you that this obsession with discipline is the exact reason you're stuck, burned out, and further from your dreams than when you started? Let me share something the self-help gurus won't tell you. Discipline has destroyed more dreams than laziness ever could. And I'm not just talking about the people who fail at being disciplined. I'm talking about the ones who succeed at it, who master the art of forcing themselves through misery every single day, only to wake up one morning and realize they've built a prison instead of a life. Think about it. When was the last time you heard someone successful say their life is hard? When's the last time a truly fulfilled person talked about how much discipline it takes to get out of bed, to do their work, to show up for their goals? They don't. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to admit. If you need discipline to do something, you're probably doing the wrong thing. Now, before you close this video thinking I'm about to sell you some lazy get-rich-quick scheme, hear me out. This isn't about avoiding hard work. It's about understanding that forced discipline is a red flag, not a badge of honor. It's a symptom that something in your system is broken, and until you fix the system, no amount of willpower is going to save you. The self-help industry has convinced you that discipline equals virtue, that suffering means you're on the right path, that if it doesn't hurt, it doesn't count. But this is a lie designed to keep you consuming their content, buying their courses, and believing that you're just one more morning routine away from transformation. The truth is far more uncomfortable. Toxic discipline is making you weaker, not stronger. Here's what actually happens when you rely on forced discipline. You wake up every day at war with yourself. Your alarm goes off and immediately you're in a battle. Part of you wants to stay in bed, the human part that's tired and needs rest. The other part, the disciplined part, screams that you're weak, that successful people don't hit snooze, that you're failing before the day even begins. And you win the battle. You drag yourself out of bed, you do the cold shower, you choke down the perfect breakfast, you hit the gym even though your body is begging for recovery, and you feel proud. You've been disciplined. But here's what you don't realize. Every time you win that battle, you're actually losing the war, because discipline isn't free. It costs psychological energy, and that energy is finite. Researchers call it ego depletion. Every decision you force, every impulse you resist, every action you take that goes against what you actually want drains your mental battery, and eventually that battery dies. This is why every January 1st is full of disciplined people who are completely burned out by February. This is why you can be perfect for 3 weeks and then binge for 3 days and undo everything. This is why the hardest workers you know are often the most miserable. They've become masters of discipline, but slaves to a system that's fundamentally unsustainable. Let me tell you what the most successful people actually do. They don't rely on discipline. They rely on design. They build their identity, their environment, and their systems in a way that makes the right actions automatic. They don't force themselves to go to the gym. They genuinely enjoy it because they've connected it to their identity as an athlete. They don't resist junk food through willpower. They've removed it from their environment entirely. They don't grind through work they hate. They've structured their life around work that energizes them. This is the difference between discipline and alignment. Discipline is forcing yourself to do things that conflict with who you are. Alignment is becoming someone for whom those things are natural. And here's the kicker. You can't discipline your way into alignment. You have to think your way into it. James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits. He says the most effective way to change your behavior is to focus not on what you want to achieve, but on who you wish to become. It's not, I want to run a marathon, it's, I am a runner. That identity shift changes everything. A runner doesn't need discipline to run. Running is just what runners do. It's part of their identity, and humans will do almost anything to act in alignment with their identity. But here's where most people mess this up. They try to fake the identity. They say the words, I am a runner, while hating every step, and they wonder why it doesn't work. Real identity change requires evidence. You have to give yourself proof that this identity is true. And that means starting so small that discipline isn't even required. This is what toxic discipline gets backwards. It tells you to make massive changes all at once, to shock your system into transformation. Wake up 3 hours earlier. Overhaul your entire diet. Exercise 2 hours a day. Completely rewire your brain. And when you inevitably fail, because that's an inhuman standard, it tells you that you just weren't disciplined enough. It's gaslighting at an industrial scale. The smarter path is almost embarrassingly simple. You start with something so small that it would be harder to say no than to say yes. You want to become someone who reads? Read 1 page, not a chapter. 1 page. You want to become someone who exercises? Do 1 push-up. You want to become someone who writes? Write 1 sentence. These actions are so small that discipline isn't required, but they provide the evidence your brain needs to start shifting your identity. And once your identity shifts, behavior follows automatically. This is how you escape the discipline trap. You stop trying to force yourself to be someone you're not, and you start building evidence that you're becoming someone new. You stop going to war with yourself every morning, and you start designing a life where the right choices are the easy choices. You stop measuring your worth by how much you can suffer, and you start measuring it by how aligned you've become with the person you're trying to be. Let me be clear about something. This doesn't mean life becomes easy. It means life becomes right. There will still be challenges. There will still be moments that require effort, but the difference is night and day. Effort in alignment feels like flow. Effort in resistance feels like drowning. One builds you up, the other tears you down. And if you've been drowning in discipline for years, wondering why you're not getting anywhere, this is why. The final lesson here is this. Discipline is not the answer. It's a band-aid on a broken system. If you're relying on discipline to achieve your goals, you haven't built the right identity or the right environment yet. And no amount of forcing yourself through misery is going to compensate for that misalignment. Fix the system. Build the identity. Design the environment. And watch how quickly discipline becomes irrelevant. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one area of your life where you've been relying on discipline. Just one. And instead of trying harder, ask yourself, how could I redesign this so discipline isn't required? What identity would make this behavior automatic? What environmental change would make the right choice the easy choice? Start there, build the evidence, and stop fighting yourself. You were never meant to live at war with who you are.